Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the midweek devotional for the East Allen County Church of Christ. If you're visiting with us, we're sure glad that you took the time to spend some time in Bible study with us. If you're our members, we love you and appreciate you and are thankful that you're out there taking the time to dig some more into the Word of God. When I was a little boy, one of my favorite things in life were really the little things, and one of them was a store that I think is mostly based in Maryland, perhaps some in Pennsylvania or West Virginia, but it was otherwise known as High's Ice Cream Store. They were in Virginia, and I guess they were a bigger operation than maybe they are today. But there was one that was 3 doors down from my aunt's house who used to babysit me during the day before I started school. And if I was really fortunate and I had a little spare change, I could go to the ice cream store and get a scoop of ice cream with my cousin. And she was a little older than me, so we'd go to the ice cream store and she would always get some exotic flavor, one thing or another. To me, exotic was chocolate. I was a chocolate man through and through. If I had a choice, it was chocolate. If somebody was to ask me and they had 15 other flavors, I want chocolate. And that's what I liked and that's what I wanted, and that was my choice. And my cousin was a lot more daring. She would choose all sorts of different things and enjoy them all, and they were all enjoyable. And since I've become an adult, I've discovered there are many good flavors of ice cream. And I know some members out there that are listening to this probably thinking, I wish he'd shut up so I can go get some ice cream right now. But the point is, whatever it is, it's just a choice. Whatever ice cream you like, if you like or don't like ice cream, it's still a choice. I understand there are some people that don't like chocolate. I don't know what to think about them, but it's okay. It's your choice. It's certainly something that you're capable of doing, and your own opinion is fine. There are, however, some things in life for which choice is important. In fact, it can have eternal ramifications, and it's those kinds of things today that we're going to talk about just very briefly. What kind of choices are truly those that we need to make? Let's start at the beginning. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 31, it says this: Then God said, Let us make man in our image according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. God blessed them. God said to them, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Now, I'm going to stop there in verse 28, and I just want to ask this question: what does it mean to be made in the image and likeness of God? Because only man was made in the image and likeness of God, not anything else. Let me tell you what it cannot mean. It cannot mean that we don't have choice. In fact, I would venture to say something I've said previously several times. The most dangerous thing in the garden was not the serpent. It is and was, in fact, choice. The most dangerous thing for man today is not Satan. It's choice. What do we do with our choices? So to be made in the image or likeness of God does not mean that we're absent choice. In fact, it means that we have choice. And so how does our freedom of will set us apart from the animals? Our freedom of will is supreme to the animals. Animals are going to be animals. We have a little gray kitty, a cat, that lives in our house. Her name is Brooklyn, my daughter's pet, really our family pet. And so Brooklyn and I, we have developed a unique and interesting relationship. When I sit down, she likes to sit on me. If I walk around the house, she likes to follow me where I'm going, or my wife or my daughter, whoever. She likes to look out the window on occasion. She loves to sleep. She probably loves sleeping secondary only to eating. And she loves to look out our screen door. She's an in-house cat. She doesn't go outside. But what was interesting was this morning, for instance, is a good example. I'm cooking breakfast, and I did what I normally do. When I start breakfast, I open our kitchen door as long as the temperature will allow. And the cat, she goes up to the screen door and she smells all the smells and feels the breeze and hears the sounds and things that go out in the backyard, and looks at the birds and the squirrels and the rabbits. And so that's something we do every morning, and she just goes and examines it and speculates and does whatever she does, thinks whatever she thinks. And so I'm cooking breakfast and I look over and she's all crunched down and like she's about to pounce on something. And I thought, she sees stuff out there all the time. What in the world? Is there a rabbit right outside the door? What's going on? And I looked outside and there was actually a dog outside. And it had wandered into our yard, upset the cat greatly. She wasn't scared. She was about to think she was going to go teach that dog a lesson, but she couldn't get through the screen. I thought she was going to tear the screen down. She was about ready to pounce. If you've ever seen a cat do that, you can tell when they get in that mode, how they look and what they're doing. So I just talked to her for a minute. She calmed down. The little dog walked away and everything went back to normal. Now, is our cat mean? Well, she's a cat. She acts like a cat. She reacts like a cat. She doesn't act like a dog. You can call her and she'll do what a cat does. She'll look at you. Some cats will come, not this one. When we got her as a kitten, she was feral. And I'm not sure we have domesticated her quite yet after these several years. So I guess at some point in the future, she may be domesticated. But right now, she's still got some feral tendencies, even though she has domesticated quite a bit. But she's always a cat. If I go home today, she's still going to be a cat. She's going to be doing one of a few things that she always has done, and she's not going to change. If she were to get out and live in somebody else's home, she's going to be a cat. She's not going to be a fish. She's not going to be a bird. She's not going to be something else. I'm not going to go home and find her having borrowed the car to go to the pet store to get food. I'm not going to find her swimming around in the whirlpool bathtub because she decided she wanted to take a bath for a change instead of, say, a shower. She's a cat. And that's all I expect her to be. And I shouldn't, in all fairness, expect her to be anything else. I, on the other hand, am the one thing in that equation that has a chance to be different. In other words, I have the ability to decide by choice what it is I want to do. Do I want to be something different? Do I want to be God's man? Don't I want to be God's man? You see, some choices in life are completely painless and actually have no real value other than our own comfort or our own likes. But some choices are truly important and very, very valuable. So animals really can't sin. Animals can't sin. Your yard, your grass can't sin. Your bushes can't sin. They can't sin. When one of my favorite TV shows when I was a little kid, it used to come on along with The Wonderful World of Disney, was Wild Kingdom. And it would come on after or before, I forget which one, but I got a chance to watch both of those on Sundays. And Marlon Perkins would narrate, and it would usually add the things that I'm most reminded of are the big cats, the lions, the tigers, those kinds of things, and the poor gazelles, and the other things they used to hunt. And when we'd see those shows, they could get pretty graphic, but not too bad. It was a family show. My point, though, is this: when that tiger or that lion takes down that larger antelope, that large animal, they're not being criminal. They're not doing anything wrong. They're not a bad lion or a bad tiger. It's violent in its appearance because it is a violent thing. But they're doing what God created them in the ecosystem to do. They're not breaking any rules. They're not doing anything wrong. And if they're going to survive and live, that's the way they've got to live. The antelope, they know this. You don't find a herd of antelope saying, hey, let's invite the lions and tigers over so we can have a party. No, they're on the lookout. When they see those guys coming, they run. There's a reason they're fast. And so, that's the dynamic that exists. But is the larger predator wrong? And the answer is no, because that predator is just surviving the way God built them to survive. So understanding that, what's it like for man? Can an animal sin? An animal cannot sin, but man can. There's nothing wrong, and I realize there are pacifists in this world. But from a biblical standpoint, I don't believe that pacifism is something you can support as a spiritual philosophy. God has, in the Old Testament, many times over, dealt in war. He has dealt in punishment, capital punishment. He has dealt in many of those things. And again, this lesson is not about whether or not you think war is appropriate or those kinds of things, or even self-defense. If you think that in a situation where your life is in danger, that you don't need to defend it, that's a personal choice. That's up to you. But when it comes to those kinds of issues, unless somebody is operating outside the law, it is okay to defend yourself biblically. And again, that maybe that needs to be another devotional sometime. But But does man sin? Can he sin by taking another life? And the answer to that is yes. There's a difference between self-defense in terms of a nation or a person, as opposed to murdering someone because you want what they have. You want to steal something. You want to take something away from them. You want them to be something less of a nuisance in your life or something like that. You just can't take human life. That's only one example. You can't steal from people. You shouldn't lie to folks. That's wrong. That's sinful. There are many things that man can do to sin. And so God has outlined those pretty specifically in the Bible, and he's very adamant about our ability to maintain the responsibility for our own choices. And that's another thing about choice. Are you responsible for your choices? Well, you are responsible for your choices. In fact, the only way you can sin is by choosing to do so. I want you to understand that on the day of judgment, those that are lost, I think some people have this view. They say to themselves, well, I don't want to be lost. I don't know how the day of judgment is going to come out. So I'm going to do a couple of good things, and then God's going to write those down, and they might be big things, and I'm going to do, a few little bad things here and there, and we'll just see. That is not faith, folks, and that is not being allied to God. That is not being in allegiance with God. That is not submitting myself to God, if that's the way you're going to live. So in doing that, I just want to say that man will be lost because he chooses to be. And I just want us to take another look at another scripture, Luke 16, verses 19 to 31. There was a rich man, and he habitually dressed in purple and fine linen, joyously living in splendor every day. And a poor man named Lazarus was laid at his gate, covered with sores, and longing to be fed with crumbs which were falling from the rich man's table. Besides, even the dogs were coming and licking his sores. Now the poor man died, was carried away by the angels to Abraham's bosom, and the rich man also died and was buried. In Hades he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, and saw Abraham far away and Lazarus in his bosom. He cried out and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus so that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool off my tongue, for I am in agony in this flame. But Abraham said, Child, remember that during your life you received your good things, and likewise Lazarus bad things. But now he's being comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you there is a great chasm fixed, so that those who wish to come over from here to you will not be able, and that none may cross over from there to us. He said, Then I beg you, Father, that you send him to my father's house. For I have 5 brothers, in order that he may warn them, so that they will not also come to this place of torment. But Abraham said, They have Moses and the prophets, and let them hear them. But he said, No, Father Abraham, but if someone goes to them from the dead, they will repent. He said to him, If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be persuaded, even if someone rises from the dead. Does it seem like Lazarus felt sorry for himself because he had it rough in life? Victimization is a concept that exists because, first of all, some people are victims. I just want to say that. Some people are victims, and the circumstances of their life are not their own doing. They are the victims of their circumstances. Something outside their control has put them in the position they're in. But I want to say this about choice. We are not going to be judged on the basis of the circumstances that have victimized us. We will, however, be judged on how we handle the circumstances that we're in. And so when we live in certain circumstances, we have the ability to make choices. And my plea to you is to always choose to live for God. Always choose to be his child in this world. And if you'll do that, what you will find is that God, in the end, and possibly even in the present, will bless us in such ways that it will make our circumstances much better. By the way, I don't believe in the health and welfare doctrine that says if you believe in God, then all of your troubles will vanish, everything will go away, everything. The preachers who tell you that are really after your wallet more than they are your heart. I'm going to be honest with you and tell you the truth, and that is that becoming a Christian doesn't mean the abolition of all things that are tough to deal with in this world. In fact, I will also tell you that becoming a Christian may not even take us out of the circumstances we're in. For instance, if a person is in jail or in prison, because you become a faithful person doesn't mean they let you go. It doesn't mean you won't complete your sentence. It doesn't mean that you won't have the necessity of dealing with the circumstances of the choices that you made earlier in life. Having said that, that is not to say that you are not saved, that your eternal relationship with God is not solid, and that you're His own son or daughter, as the case may be. But the truth is that we don't get to escape the ramifications of our choices just because we have changed our position, our direction, and elected to become people of faith. I do hope and pray that you make the decision, the choice to become a child of God, no matter where you're at, no matter what circumstance you're in, because I promise you this, that no matter what you face at the present, it will change, because eventually all of those things will be taken away. And we will face God one day. And on that final day of judgment, when we stand before God, God will determine who are His faithful and who are His children. And I pray that you'll find yourself in the line of people that are going to be chosen to be His children and seen as His children, because that's the choice we made here on earth. I hope you have a great week. I thank you for tuning in, spending time with us. If you have any questions, please ask. I believe I will try to make sure there is a tile at the end of this video that will have our phone number on it. If you have any questions, please call us. Otherwise, I hope that you have a great week, and come see us if you get the opportunity. Thank you. We love you. God bless you.